The line's moving, by the way. John has told us it was at 9.5. Now it's at 7.5. Do you? ESPN has them, or the Ringer has them, not as the worst team in football. Do you think going into the season that the Patriots, on paper, are the worst team in football?
They're one of them, Fred. I don't know if I'd say they're the worst. I mean, that Carolina team that came in here for that first preseason game, I'd probably put them maybe behind the Patriots. Um, just going back to what you said about the line, to me, like I know you're talking about 7.5. I was looking at, I'm like, how can the Patriots win this game? That's sort of what I've started to look at as we get closer to kickoff. And the thing that would concern me the most is the Bengals defensive line, very good against the Patriots offensive line. And to me, that's the game. And if the Patriots can somehow hold up front, which is a huge if, they might have a chance. But I'll be honest with you guys, we haven't had a season like this where the external expectations are this low, where like I'm looking at it, I'm like, I'm not picking the Patriots to win this week. And I have to look at the schedule to see like when I might pick them to win a game right now, which is certainly different than what we've talked about in the past.
You were talking about the offensive line. I'm not saying for Darien, Lowe, and City So are any kind of Pro Bowlers or maybe not even deserving of being starters, but there are starters on this team. Are either of them going to play this week?
John, right now, I would say no, based on what we've seen at practice. We're going to be out there today at practice at 1:00. And if something, if they're out there, I guess that could change the answer. But based on what we've seen at this point, and you'd think they're fairly far down the road here, with their game planning, you're looking at probably Chukwuezekorofo at left tackle. And then at left guard could be, Nick Leverett, a free agent signing they had from the Buccaneers. They might elevate someone like Michael Jordan from the practice squad. And again, just matching up this game, I mean, the Bengals, Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard, like these are top of the line defensive ends. And if I'm Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator of the Bengals, I'm just licking my chops at the possibility of what I could do here in this matchup.
Well, what's kind of insulting is I heard a Cincinnati writer or media personality talking about the Jamar Chase situation. Remember, he's got 2 years left on his contract, and he's been a hold-in during camp, so he hasn't practiced. And the Bengals are notoriously cheap, and they also don't want to set a precedent of two things. I guess giving him guaranteed money. They'd rather give it in a bonus, and also working with the guy when he's got 2 years left in his contract. And they're like, there's no real urgency to get it done by week 1. They would like to, so he could play in against Kansas City in week 2. The theory being you don't need him to beat the Patriots, which is insulting. Do you agree? Did Jamar Chase's participation in the game move any of your thoughts at all, Mike?
It does a little bit from a standpoint of I think it could be a lower scoring game if he doesn't play. But look, Fred, let's be honest and not sugarcoat it. This is the way the Patriots are viewed around the NFL. The last time everyone in the NFL saw the Patriots in a preseason game, they had 4 penalties in which they could not align properly on the offensive line. So this is the reality of what it is right now until they prove it differently. I will say, like, the Bengals offense, obviously Joe Burrow is a difference maker, but without Chase, yeah, you still have T. Higgins. Now, I haven't studied them as closely as others. Some say he wasn't the same player that he has been in the past last year. And like other weapons, I mean, Mike Gesicki is one of their top tight ends. We saw him last year. So it's not like there's skill position players that sort of keep you up at night other than Burrow if Chase doesn't play. So I think that could help keep the game a little bit closer, possibly.
All right. So when you're a fan, obviously this team's not winning a lot of games, and you're watching it. Who do you keep your eye on? Like, if you're watching a rebuilding team and the young quarterback's not playing, who should fans keep their eyes on? Who are building blocks for the future that people should be looking at?
Well, let's start, Fred, with Christian Gonzalez, the corner, who we saw the start last year. Look, he was the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Month for September before he got hurt. Like, can he play 17 games and play at that level for 17 games? Because if he can, and there's early promising signs that he can, like that's a player to build around. And if you're going to win games this year, the defense is probably going to have to lead you there more often than not. So start with him. And then I would say, and this is really like digging deep a little bit, like Layton Robinson, their 4th-round pick out of Texas A&M, is probably going to start at right guard in this game. Not much different than 2016 when Ted Karras started at right guard for them and probably should still be playing for them on the offensive line, which sort of leads us to a bigger discussion of how they got to where they are right now on the offensive line. So he's a big, powerful guard, and we talk about the offensive line being a key. He could be part of the solution going forward.
I'm sorry, Wallach. I just wanted to ask real quick, Mike, because we've been talking about changing expectations for this team over the years, especially this year. When asked, the team, of course, is going to say they're trying to win. They're trying to win every game. Do you think there are some other secret goals for this team, especially in week 1, things that Jerod Mayo and the rest of the team are looking to accomplish, maybe in addition to the win or, God forbid, other than the win?
Well, so I'm not sure I'm 100% Hardy if I'm following, but let's talk Drake May on that. Because I think he's the player, to Fred's question, that people are most interested in. Hidden goal is how do you handle his situation to move his progression along? So a hidden goal would be he's going to run the scout team, so he's going to be Joe Burrow, but you're also going to get him some reps, running the actual offense.
Yeah.
And then maybe, and I asked Jerod Mayo about this Monday, maybe he runs a meeting installing the game plan, which is all these things behind the scenes that just move his progression along. And I think we should probably touch on Drake May in some form every time we talk, because to Fred's point, he's really the first player that provides the hope ultimately whenever they turn to him down the road.
Perfect answer to a terrible question. Thank you. It was.
That was okay.
No,
exactly that was good. One quick thing, Mike. How do you think Jerod Mayo has handled the Javon Baker distraction this week? Because as a new head coach, he pretty much just has to set a precedent as he moves along here.
So to me, John, this is reflective of the new, why they made the change from Bill Belichick to Jerod Mayo. Not this example being the reason, but how he handled it. In the sense of, I believe that they hired Jerod Mayo because they feel like the whole deal has changed with the players coming into the league, that you need to connect with them personally before you demand from them professionally and develop them as people. And I think that this is the first example, not the first, but one example of how Jerod Mayo approaches it, where what Javon Baker did was wrong. He's going to address it as being wrong, but also use it as a teaching tool for him.
Can I ask you this? What did he do that was wrong? I don't understand what everyone's making a big deal about it. He got it, to my understanding, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, he got a ticket at the airport and he went on Instagram Live and bitched about it. So he's like everyone else. What is that? Is that? Am I right here? What's the big deal?
So Fred, if he's a member of a larger organization, so everything he does represents the Patriots brand and logo, and when he's mentioning a police officer's name, and disparaging the police, that I think some people would say, look, he has the freedom to do that. He does, but he's also a member of an organization that he has to understand whatever he says is tied to the logo on his helmet. And I think that's the next layer of the conversation.
To be honest with you, I couldn't understand what he was saying. So, if he said a cop's name, you can't do that. All right. Mike Reiss, listen. Congratulations on the Richard Marx concert, and I have just learned that he is married to Daisy Fuentes.
Yes.
a former VJ that everyone was very familiar with. So he's got an age-appropriate wife. How about that for Richard Marks? And how about that for Mike Reiss? Mike Reiss, thank you so much for the time, sir.
Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of the show. Always great being with you.
If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.